We have always explored, pioneered, broken boundaries. We have challenged what we thought impossible, simplified the most complex, liberated for everyone what was in the hands of the few. Today, we stand at the next chapter of this adventure, this human journey of exploration and progress. It is in our nature. How we evolve, why we challenge, what takes us forward. Our world was only ever the beginning. This beautiful planet. Our Earth is our training ground for what's next. What's next is a nation of space citizens. Until now, this was only available to a few. At Space Nation, we are making space discovery, education, and wellness accessible to everyone, building a new, borderless global community. By unleashing our brilliant undiscovered capabilities, together we can protect this planet, look beyond it, and prepare for our next giant leap. Because what's next is for everyone. And what's next is now.
Hi everyone, my name is Kalle Vähä-Jaakkola and I'm the captain and co-founder of Space Nation. I grew up as a farmer's son in a small village on the countryside in Finland. And you can imagine that there wasn't much street lights and there wasn't much like houses around. So what I remember was vividly seeing the stars and also gazing upon the reflection of a full moon on a snow. And it's pretty amazing. So as long as my memories go, I took it as an obvious thing that we are going to space. It's inevitable. And I always thought that it's us that is going there, as a humanity, as one, without any borders. But it took a couple of decades until I met my good friend Mastak Nasir, who shared the same love of space and the vision for humanity. And we founded over 4 years ago Space Nation on the belief that our expansion to space is a key moment in human evolution that brings new perspectives, unity, and benefits for everyone. So it's not just for a selected few, but for all. And I hope that you are still awake at this point of the day. And let me ask you a question. So pay attention. If you could go to space, have a trip and travel there, and it would be as safe as taking a flight, let's say, over the transatlantic, how many of you would go? Raise your hand. Pretty much everyone. And if someone didn't raise hand, it's because of shyness, probably. And let me say that this will be possible sooner than you think. There's a huge new space age beginning. And this time, you all are invited to experience it firsthand. Companies like Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin will start to fly people to space latest next year. We will have a new commercial space station made by our partner Axiom Space. And in 10 years, we will have a permanent moon settlement. But it's not about us going to space, all of us. But it is about what that trip and journey, us as the humanity, can bring us back here on Earth. The incredible benefits. And the first part of that vision is Space Nation Astronaut Program. We've partnered with NASA and the astronaut trainers that train the NASA astronauts. And it's the first global astronaut training experience program. So why astronaut skills? Why astronaut training? Early on, we discovered that the skills are not just for those who go to space. What it entails, basically, is life skills for the 21st century, one way to put it. We divided body, mind, and social, but ultimately what it concretely is, it is about healthy lifestyle, basic fitness, it is about creative problem solving, it is about learning new things, applying, and teamwork above all. So those, if you think about, are beneficial for all of us. And the spaceship Earth, its crew needs these in order to thrive and excel. And learning, when done in a proper way, it can be a lot of fun. And how we do it, instead of teaching separate subjects, we pick a topic that is inspiring for people. And it covers real-life aspects. So astronaut training, traveling to space, is a prime example of this kind of phenomena-based learning. And this is going to begin the first step of Space Nation Astronaut Program in next March. So in 2 months, we're going to launch Space Nation Astronaut Program with the Space Nation Navigator app. And with that, everyone can start to train like an astronaut, the basic skills. So it is your individual journey to stars. You start developing by playing mini games, even quizzes, astro fitness in your personal life. Here's one example of them, a mini game called Lunar Signal, which teaches you how kind of difficult is communication in space. Even communicating to moon, the speed of light, it takes 1.3 seconds. For planets, it takes minutes or even tens of minutes. But at the same time, not just for astronauts, it trains us all for spatial awareness and predictions, especially in the more complicated systems. A simple form, as I told, was quiz. So through this, we can see what is your level in the beginning. We can teach you new things about the topics we are asking. And actually, at the same time, your mental capacity under pressure, when we give time there a factor. And quizzes are, everyone loves them. They are easy to do pretty much everywhere. Another part is team synergy. So if you have emergencies in space or missions, you need to pick the best crew. And it's about individual skills, but as much it is how crew members get along with each other, how they work. So it is cultural understanding and gathering the best crew. And how good it is depends then the outcome of the missions, the odds to success in it. One part is astro fitness. So we have an exercises made not just for astronauts to solve their challenges, but actually even basic office workers who might like sit most of the day. So it is beneficial for both of them. And when you do these routines, you can see your quality of life getting better. So once again, it is for everyone. And of course, you have your individual profiles. So you can see your progression, what is your level on the leaderboards. You can see the badges you get, opens new topics, new missions, how well you do, and relevant to other people. And as a sneak peek, we have actually an AR app called Pantheon also in the cooking. And by that, you can have your own space program, launching rockets to the orbit, to the moon, Mars, and building your own settlements, whether you are in your living room or outside or here. And how we started, getting back to the Space Nation Astronaut Program with Space Nation Navigator. In March, we have a global launch. Then in cyclical ways, in 3.5-month cycles, we have major updates and content. And in fall this year, everywhere, including China, begins the selection phase. So then we select the best candidates before the end of the year into an on-site location where they will be trained by NASA astronaut trainers. And after 3 months, the best candidate, you might guess, get to go to space for real on a mission. And this we do every year. App selection phase with the navigator, on-site training, and at least one goes to space. First suborbital, then to the International Space Station and Axiom Space Station, to the moon and beyond. First of its kind global astronaut program, not just for selected few, but everyone. So you can imagine how wonderful time we live and how excited I'm personally if you think about the hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution, and we are at the point that this is really possible and happening. And through apps and mobile gaming, you can get to go to space. So thank you very much, and if you have questions, just shoot.
Hello. Ooh, loud. Hello. Very ambitious. Hello. Yeah, very ambitious, this whole program. I just wondered, how are you funded? And you're a .org, but are you a commercial organisation? How does all that nasty money stuff play out?
Yeah. So basically, the monetization model on this is it's on the app side freemium model. So basically, extra missions or redoing them, you pay like in-game currency, or you check like rewarded ads. So that's one part. But it needs to be in a way that is lighter than in many freemium games, so that in order to get to the on-site training, you don't need to pay thousands of euros or dollars or more money, that everyone can do it without paying either. Or maybe you check then and watch more rewarded ads. Then the on-site training, we actually film it and distribute in different ways. So there's content licensing, sponsorship, video advertising. At the moment, we are funded with private investors. As a company, we've raised about 6 million euros. And we are launching this in March, and the rest will be history. Well, about the org side, so that's a bit like next level then, that we are for profit at the moment. But for the nation part, as we see this, kind of as astronauts go to space, there's no borders. So we are one nation, Space Nation. And later on, we are going to make a foundation for that, but that's another story. Other questions?
So I was actually speaking to one of your colleagues prior to coming to this, and then one of the questions that came up in my mind was, so the selection process, what do you kind of criteria do you take in? Do you take into like physically aptitude and mental aptitudes, and how is that based on the performance of the app itself? Yeah,
that's an excellent question. One thing that I didn't mention there yet, there's kind of like this wrong myth what is an astronaut. So everyone probably, you think that it's like a superhuman, super fit, super smart. But actually you don't need those qualities in order to get to space. And especially in future it will be easier, and I'm not talking about decades, but like in upcoming years already. But we have modeled the selection process through the app with the same astronaut trainers that train us astronauts. And there is aspects, as said, like physical, mental things and teamwork. So the aspects that I kind of a few mentioned there. But you don't need to be like Iron Man, physically fit, basic health, taking care of yourself, kind of a balanced lifestyles, and problem solving, teamwork, these kind of aspects. But there's multitude of the things that one part comes from app, and then we select the best candidates on-site training. We train more, so of course, like ultimately, after that funnel, you find the best candidate.
Have you kind of decided how many people you will take from that selection? Because you're probably going to have like...
Yeah. So first, we aim 100 to take the physical location in first year. And after 2 weeks physical boot camp, more physical because it's like a physical location rather than just the fitness things. After that, there's 12 people that go for a 10-week period. And then we find the best candidate and a backup. That's the first year. And you are all invited. So actually, average age for becoming an astronaut, many think that it's just a very, very young you need to be. But the average age, guess what it is? 45.
So on that basis then, are you more like pointing towards university students? Because obviously I guess everyone here has a job. That means it's just interesting that you've come here for it rather than have you been to like universities? Because I don't know if I can take a 10-week break. My job fast on a job.
Yeah. Okay, we've been and I've been like around the world and in different parts and universities, elementary schools, speaking to like more older people also and everyone. The big thing is that, okay, those who can afford to taking the leave or time and really want to go to space, they will aim there. But other ones can share their experience and check what it is all about. And it's about fun learning, and you do it ultimately because it's beneficial for you. The inspiring stories for most of the people is just to get involved and check what it is about.
Is this something that you plan to run
every year?
Oh my goodness.
And then we, of course, like the story evolves. So if you think about 60s, when we went to the space, you went suborbital flight first, then orbital flight, then to the moon. And okay, we regressed back to the low Earth orbit, but now is the time that we are going to the moon and Mars beyond and permanently. So this evolves as, let's say, global citizen astronaut program the same way. So you can evolve the story, you can change what kind of this year's like training, how do we do inside the app, and actually apps later on. So there's the change and new stuff coming all the time, so it's not exactly the same all the time.
So that person, I'm so enthusiastic.
No, I'm happy that like you're awake and
so
you're asking
that person
questions.
then who goes to space, what do they do afterwards? Like, are they given a qualification? Like, what can they just become a permanent?
That's once again excellent question. So, well, probably they become some kind of a champions of the world and role models and this, and whether it's local or global role models, depends on the mission in space. So if you have a suborbital flight, like it's pretty like quickie. But then if you go to like orbit and International Space Station, so whether you are like a 2-week period there or 3 months or even longer. So depending on that, you need extra training after the 12-week periods when we select the best candidate and backup. And currently the extra training means about like a year at least. So then you come very close to like current professional astronauts in a sense. And our aim, of course, is to create a route later on through our programs that you can become a professional astronaut too, whether it is for NASA, whether it's the ESA, or whether it's, for example, Chinese Space Agency. And as to be said, like the whole industry is changing, that it's becoming a commercial one. And kind of the analogy comes that when you go to an airplane, so every one of us can take the plane, basically, unless you're very scared. But there's a pilot that needs a little bit more training. There's a stewardess or other people working on the plane who have a little bit training too. But as a passenger, how much do you have training when you board on the plane and on board there? So it's kind of a similar in going to space. But then it depends what you're doing there. And of course, for us, the main track is in the beginning scientific research. So you do the research and maintenance on board ISS. And that's a couple of years away when we are sending. So the first ones fly next year to suborbital flight. but it's coming.
It's awesome, man. Thank you.
For now.
Are you already on the list, on the app? I was just wondering if, as you're working on it, would you be trying to go to space too?
Myself? Yeah, my goal 2022 suborbital and 2026 to the orbit. So since a kid I've seen mostly like not just visiting space but working and living there. So like, and Moon is quite nice place, so we'll have the Moon settlement with Space Nation and other partners in 2027, so that's a nice place to visit and to stay. And I recommend also like parabolic flight if anyone has the chance. There's different places in the world to go there, so it's the same weightlessness as on the orbit basically, and it's a lot of fun. And the first time you experience weightlessness, I can say that that's an experience you remember every time.